everyone. Welcome to Tips and Tricks with WriterDuet. Happy holidays. 'Tis the winter holiday season and my festive winter garb. My name is Hannah, and I am part of the support team here at WriterDuet. And with us, we also have.
Hey y'all, it's Spencer, also here at the support team.
And tonight we're going to dig back into WriterDuet from beginning to end. So this is something we've covered previously in our tips and tricks, but we're going to cover it again tonight because I think it's very essential to, your entire process in WriterDuet. The way that our live events work is that Spencer is going to be manning the comments thread, and he'll be posting links to our knowledge base throughout the evening. And then he also is going to feed any of your questions or comments to me throughout the event. So don't hold back on whatever questions and comments you have. We will try to get to everything tonight. We do save kind of our question answering segment for certain portions throughout the event so that we can cover a big chunk of stuff and then answer all your questions for it. But don't hesitate to put your questions in at any moment, and we'll circle back and try to get to everything. Also, you can just like shout out and say hi in the comments. Like, we're always happy to see you. You can give us a wave or a heart or a thumbs up. Let us know how things are going on your end. So let me exit out of, I've got this giant thing going on my screen. All right, let me share my screen again, and we will jump into WriterDuet. I also encourage you, if you kind of have the space on your screen, to have WriterDuet open as we go through these things and test these things out. And that way, if you come across something that pops up another question in your head, that way you're rocking and rolling with us. All right, so we already have a project here open, but the first thing that I want to talk about is the portfolio. And the portfolio is essentially where all of your projects live, and you'll find pretty much everything that you need to keep your projects organized there in the portfolio. So in this particular layout here, I can find my portfolio through this portfolio icon. This is what we call the simplified layout. This is the default layout that you'll land in whenever you log into WriterDuet. My personal preference is the hybrid layout, and I can go there by changing, by selecting this little cogwheel icon in the bottom and selecting hybrid. The reason I prefer this one is because I like to have this menu across the top, but there's 7 different layouts that you can test out, or I guess 6 for the desktop and then 1 for mobile. Hey, we're live. Did you know that we're live? I don't know if you know, but we're live. So choose the layout that works for you. Of course, these are customizable, and you can find that the information about how to customize your layout in one of our previous tips and tricks events, as well as on the knowledge base. So I'm going to open my portfolio here from File, Open, Project, or the command shortcut, which is Command O or Control O, depending on if you're on a Mac or a PC. So Open Project, which is going to open my portfolio. And what you have here in your portfolio, if you're not already familiar with it, are your projects on the left-hand side. You can see the last time that they were modified and who modified them, which is especially useful if you're collaborating with people. And then, of course, the length of that project. And then on the right-hand side, you have all of the documents that exist in that project. As I say on every tips and tricks, I like to think of projects as the cocoon for all the materials for your story. So one project can contain multiple documents, and each of those documents can have different content for whatever you need for your story, whether it's the script itself, it's a character list, it's specifically an outline that's separate from your script, notes, like whatever you need to craft your story and to keep your mind together around that story, you can put it in one project. So you've got your list of projects here, and then if I click on a project, I can see the documents in it. If I switch to a different project here, I have different documents for that project. I'll show you how in just a little bit to create different documents within that project, but that's what you have here in your portfolio. You also have the share widget here that you can use just like you would use the share widget when you're in a project. And I'll get to that in just a moment. The lovely thing is that if you have projects in this main area that you don't want to see all of the time, you can archive them. So you can select the project and then select move to archive, or you can right click on the project and archive it. And it's going to move over to your archive, which has all these projects depending on how many you've archived. We recommend this. This is the best thing to do. It's not going to alter anything except for your project count. Like that's the only, it still counts towards your number of projects. This is much better than deleting projects. Deleting projects is a permanent action. But if you archive it, it's out of your main portfolio view, but it's not gone for forever. However, if you want to delete a project, if you absolutely feel the need to delete a project, you can by right-clicking on a project and selecting delete. Again, this is a permanent action and cannot be undone. So be really sure that you want to delete it before you do. Otherwise, move it into archive, get it out of your view and worry about it later. You can always come back to it, move it back to the portfolio. You can open it from archive, all those things. It's still there. It's just not in that main view. So back to the share widget here. So I can add collaborators by clicking. It's Tuesday, you guys. Clicking the plus sign and enter their email address and then add them. So let's say I want to add my friend Wishbone. Anybody remember Wishbone? The TV show, the stories? No? Click plus. And then it's going to, when I click send invite, it's going to send them an invitation. I can add a message if I like. I can add multiple people at once and then send all of those invites, whatever I need to do. Sorry, Wishbone, you don't get an invite today. You can also do a shareable link. So I can click the plus sign. I got it that time. There. Click the link to copy it and then send it off to whoever through whatever form of communication I have with that particular person. Shareable links are great, especially if you're sharing to like multiple people, like in a chat, and you want all of them to jump on the project. But the essential thing to do in that particular situation is to make sure that you have multi-use selected. That means that multiple people can use this link to access the project. If this isn't selected, then that means that this link is single use. It can only be clicked once in order to access the project, and you'd have to generate another share link, or you'd have to go in and change the permissions. So always keep that in mind. So that's how you can share. Sorry, looking at my notes. The next thing that we have recently added to the portfolio, which is really great, is the ability to export all of the files in your portfolio with just one click. And that is through this export folder here. And what this is going to do is it's going to export all of these into a zip file as WriterDuet files. So they're specifically WDZ files. You can open them again in WriterDuet. If you're looking for other file formats, you will need to export those projects individually. But if you're like, I just want to do a quick backup of all of my work in WriterDuet, sweet, you can export that folder super fast. And then re-import each of those projects as needed. We also have this lovely tell a friend thing here, which just hang tight because we're going to talk about it later. I just had like an Alexis moment there. Like Alexis. David. Okay. Cool. Feeling myself today. Okay, now we're going to jump into a new project. Now that we know what the portfolio does, I can click new project here, and then I can title it already from the portfolio. So you know what? We're just going to call this one Alexis. I'll just call it Alexis. And then open. That's just one way to open a new project. You can also open a new project from File, New Project. If you're in Simplified, let me switch back to Simplified, I can click Portfolio and I can click Project here. So there's a few different ways to open a new project. You can always open a new project. If you have a Plus or Pro or Premium subscription, free, you are limited to 3 projects, but the Plus is a great deal, and unlimited projects, unlimited sharing. It's fantastic. So we're in our Alexis project here. This page is what we like to call the editor. This is where you're going to edit your content, and there's different editor views. So you have your page view, you also have what's called your cards view, and then you have your mind map view. And so you can change that view through this tab here, and we'll talk about cards in a little bit, but if we ever say like editor, that's what we're referring to, the area where you're editing your content. When you open a new project, it will automatically land on this project info and docs tab. Switch back to my hybrid because I feel like I can't function if I'm not in hybrid. It's what I use every single day. In the project info, you have the title of the project, you have the author's name, and you have the document template. And this content, as it says, is synced with the title page. So the title will automatically be filled out on the title page, as well as the author's name here. You can access your title page through your Docs widget. Say hello to your new best friend. His name is Docs. He or she, they have all of your documents for your project. The project is the cocoon. The Docs widget is all of the seeds, butterflies. I don't know what metaphor I'm going with here or analogy. This is all of the documents in your project. They live here. When you create new documents, when you create copies of documents, they will all live here in this Docs widget. So you can double click the title page here to open it up. It's not syncing. Interesting. You can edit this title page however you want. This is the default setting, but this is by no means how you have to keep your title page. But this is just kind of like the general standard of title pages. Edit away, do whatever you wish. You have a variety of line types here that you can choose from. Something to keep in mind is that there are multiple document templates that we use in WriterDuet. Title page is one of those templates. And the title page has very specific line types that apply to the title page only. And you'll only find those line types in the title page. So if you're ever in the title page and you see other line types, it may mean that you accidentally applied the screenplay template or another template to your title page, which is fine. You can still create a title page with that template. But just know, like, if you're in the title page, these are the line types that you're going to see because they exist for the title page only. When you go to export, which we'll talk about later, that title page is automatically going to be joined with your document every single time. You can change that setting if, let's say, for example, you write sketch comedy and you don't really need a title page and you're like tired of every time you export, there's a title page with your document and you're like, why? I never made one. Why is it there? It's there by default because it's standard to have a title page, but turn that off through Customize PDF and just uncheck that box there for basic title page. And that just means that for your particular document or for that particular project, you don't need a title page. I'm going to keep that intact. Quick note about projects and documents. We said the project is the cocoon for all of the materials for your story. The title page is only linked to the default document. So if you create other documents and you export just that particular document, it's not going to export the title page with it. Only when you export the default document will the title page come along with it. They're like best friends. They're like David and Alexis. We'll just do a ton of Schitt's Creek references tonight. Maybe it's David and, oh, what's his partner? Ah, curses, I forget. You're no help, Spencer. Somebody put it in the comments. What is David's partner in Schitt's Creek?
I've been challenged. I have to look it up now. I'll only tell you like 20 minutes from now when we've already forgotten about this.
Cool. We'll do a nice callback. Okay. Where am I in my notes? Project name and title page, doc, option. Okay, documents. Got some options for your documents. You will find those options for a specific document in the little 3-dot menu here on the document in your docs widget. Click those, of course, can open it. You can set the default opening settings. So as we said, that there's 3 kind of states for your editor area. There's the page, there's the cards, and there's the mind map. Let's say that you have a particular document that you use to do a mind map in, and you want it to open as a mind map every time that you open it. Well, then you're going to set that default opening setting here. You can rename the document however you need to. So if I wanted to, I can rename my default document to script. Ta-da. You also have the ability to copy a document. You can copy it exactly as it is and then rename it to something else and take it in a new direction. And you don't need to merge. Merges, your title page will go with your document, with your default document. No need to merge those things. If you want to create a new blank document, you have 2 ways to do that. It's the same function. There's just 2 ways in the app to access it. The first way is through these toggle widget options. So click this and you'll see that you have this new document option. Click that there and select the type of editor that you would like for it to open in, the editor state you would like for it to open in. Page, I would say, is the most common. And then you're going to need to name that document. Be wise with your document naming so that you can keep track of everything. Sometimes we get we see like 12 default document, not 12, that's a large number, like 3. Wow. Like 3 default documents in a project, and it's hard to keep track of those things. So just remember to name your documents things that you can keep track of. So we'll say Alexis is the best. That's the name of this document. I'm going to make it an empty one. I could make it a copy if I wanted to, and it would copy whatever document I'm currently viewing. Whatever document is in the editor is what it will copy if I go from this particular option of new document. I'm going to make it an empty one. It's going to be a page and create. And there we go. I now have that Alexis is the best document here in my docs widget, and I can do whatever I wish with it. Let's say that I want to take this document in a new direction. I can make a copy of it here. Again, change the name. Even if it's just draft 2, that's fine. And create. And there I have that script draft 2 in my docs widget. Another, what are some other types of documents that you might create within a project, Spencer?
I think for me, especially if you're working in something like television, the nice thing is you can, if you have multiple different episodes in a series, or even if it's something like a web series you're wanting to do, you don't have to make multiple different projects and trying to finagle organizing them and sending to all your collaborators. You can create a new document that is just going to be the script of each episode so that the whole series lives within one cocoon project, as Hannah mentioned. I think that's the really nice power you have here with multiple documents. Is, for example, if you're doing a mini series and you had 5 different episodes you're going to write in there, you can have a new document for each one of those 5 episodes, and then if you wanted to export them all as one script, or if you wanted to just send a couple to somebody, and then that way if a collaborator is added onto the project, they also have access to all the documents you've created. They don't, again, they don't have to be sent a new project every time. Another thing you can do here, especially if you're wanting to make documents that help sort of plot out more about your characters, more about like a synopsis or a treatment of your film, you can create a new document that's not in a screenplay template. I know Hannah sort of mentioned templates. If you were to make a new document that was just like a character list, you could create it in what's called a notes document, which is got, again, different line types that are separate from screenplay. When you do an export, which we'll get to talking about later in the evening, you can compile all of those in a specific order. So one order, for example, might be title page, character list, script, and there she is changing the template. So having it to be in notes, which has different line types than a screenplay, you can have a header. It works more like a traditional word processor would. So that way you don't have to go out into a different app just to make a character list. You can do it right here in the app and have it all live, your entire show or mini series or whatever you're working on, live here in one project. So that's just one sort of really cool way you can use documents to sort of compartmentalize and keep everything in one place while also keeping yourself organized as a writer.
Documents are the best.
And as I mentioned before, in the comments of the live feed, I'll be posting different knowledge base articles. There is a really great one talking about the docs widget here and how it can be your best friend. So everything we talk about here, you can reference those knowledge base articles to help you as you're working along on your own show or whatever thing you happen to be writing, and help best find the workflow that's for you. I know we're spending a lot of time right now just setting up the project, but I think it's really important to have everything in line, have your ducks in a row, have all the ingredients on the table before you get to making anything. This stuff is really crucial before getting to writing because it helps keep your desk, your virtual desk organized, helps you down the road.
I am a huge advocate for organization. I am a queen of spreadsheets, I like to say.
Big update. Someone in our comments has the name of your character, of David's partner. It is Patrick.
Yes, I knew it started with a P. I can't believe that I forgot it was Patrick. What?
Yeah, thank you. Max. Thank you so much for letting us know.
I think I also saw in there somebody was like, I'm a sketch comedy writer. So like, welcome, sketch comedy writer. I didn't catch your name, but welcome. Great. I need to drink of water really quick. Sorry.
And if anything, like, again, we'll slow down and take breaks for a second, but if you have any other questions about everything we just covered, feel free. The nice thing too is that even though this video is live, you can come back to this video at any time via Facebook Live on WriterDuet's page and view it from front to back or whatever section you want to bookmark. So it will always be accessible to you.
Yeah. And don't feel like your question has to, like, if you have a question that you're like, I've been meaning, I can't figure that thing out, or I've been meaning to ask that thing, like, go ahead and pop it in the comments. Like, even though it may not be exactly what we're covering tonight, but that's what we're here for. We're part of the support team to support you. Okay, so as Spencer mentioned, you can change the template of your document, and each document in your project you could have a different template for every single document in your project. Let's say that you were writing one story and you wanted to see what it looked like as a screenplay. And then you also wanted to see what it looked like as a stage play. And then you also wanted to see what it looked like as an audio-visual story. And you also wanted to see what it looked like as a book. You can do that in one project.
Your publishing empire of your stories. You can release
You're
it all.
not sure what your medium is yet. You're just kind of like feeling it out.
It's like those 9-in-1 DVDs you can buy at Walmart that has 9 different films sort of about the same thing. You can do that, but with your stories.
That's a thing?
Yeah, it's like those combo, like 5-in-1 DVDs or something like that.
Oh, I do that with like musicals, but they're not all the same story, but it's like 5 different musicals on a combo thing. Greatest shows. You can change the template of any document through the project info tab here. You just change the template right here. You can also change the template through format, document template, default templates, and then these are all the templates. Of course, screenplay, I just lost it there. Screenplay is our most commonly used template, I'd say, but we do have a lot of stage play writers, and there's multiple stage play templates that work really well. They're all set up very differently, so you can kind of tinker around with each stage play template to see which one works for you. Let me see really quick. I'm going to go ahead and import a script right now so we can use it, because I want to change the template of some things. Let's do this. File, new project. So that's the other thing, which I'm going to change the templates here in just a second, but you may not be starting from scratch. You may have started writing somewhere else and you have stumbled across WriterDuet. Lucky you. And you're ready to continue your work. You can import any file type that falls under this export document. You can import that file type into WriterDuet. So I'm going to import a already created project that's a PDF. Let's see. What was it called again? 2 scenes, that's what it was. And it imports, and we wait. There we go. So it just drops that right into your project, and it'll even be able to recognize your title page. It'll be all. What were you gonna say? Something, Spencer?
Uh-oh, I exposed myself as the writer of this project. However, would I have done that without thinking lots of people might be looking at this?
I have some example scripts that are just hodgepodge of nothingness. Okay, so if I change the template here, let's just look at it like a couple of these stage play templates. Apply that template. So some of them follow a similar structure to screenplay. The UK stage play one is one that's very different. So I am a theater person. This is your first time joining us on Tips and Tricks. You now know I am a theater person. And this is a much more traditional script that I'm used to, with the character name on the left and the dialogue to the right of it. And this uses the multi-column feature. So if this is the kind of stage play thing that you're looking for, you're going to find it in these templates. But these templates, even though they're set up in a particular way, are still fully customizable. So you can go into customize format, and you can change how scene lines look. You can change where they sit on the page, if it's double spaced, the alignment, underline, bold, color, line spacing. You can change all of that. You can change that for every single line type. So whatever specific formatting you're looking for, especially with stage play, there's just so many different types of structures. You can create that custom template for yourself. And then the great thing is, once you've set all of the formatting the way that you want, in that same menu, you can also do page margins. Then you can go to Format, Document Template, and then Export Template. And all you really need to do is this format only. And it gives you what's a WDT file, so WriterDuet template file. And then when you're ready to start another project with that same exact formatting setup, then all you do is open that new project and then come to the same path and apply that template. And it's like you basically like import that template into the project. But even if you already have content on the page, it won't affect the content. It'll just change, it'll just move it into the formatting that you've set. So if you like to have really customized templates, this is something that you can do with a pro subscription, is the ability to create a custom template, export it, and then apply it to future projects. It's gold.
It's really useful.
Gold,
again,
I tell you.
It's really good, especially as we talked about with shows, if you want to apply, because again, each template is for each separate document, not for your whole project. If you have 10 episodes of a show and you have a very specific kind of template you want to use, or like, for example, if you want your scene headings bolded, specific characters bolded, if you have certain ways your production team is wanting to focus on that template being customized. Once you create that WDT file, you can apply it to every single one of those new documents that we just created earlier within a project. So you would have to apply it again, just as Hannah walked you through. But again, super useful for long-term projects or just people who have a very specific kind of customization to the things they want to do.
So we're at the point. If we have any questions, now's the time. All right, we'll keep rocking and rolling. I am going to create another project here. I'm actually going to go ahead and just duplicate this document with outline history. This is a great way if you, if you have a document in a project and you want that document in another project, like another new project, you want to take this particular document in a completely new direction outside of the existing project, then you can duplicate the document and it'll create that document as the default document of a new project. You of course can just copy and paste content from a document into another one, but this is a great way if you're like, I want to get this document into its own project, duplicate the document. With line history, we'll keep all of the history that exists for that document. Without line history, we'll take what lives on the page and slap it into the new project. So I'm going to do without line history because I just need the content. And there it gives me the copied date, so I can keep that in there if I want, or I can change the title. Let's say 3 scenes, even with this numeric naming. So with each template, you have a set of line types. My computer is moving slow today. I wonder if it's all the pushing of all the Zoom stuff. With each template, you have a particular set of skills. No, I'm sorry, a set of line types. Channeling some Liam Neeson there. When you change the template, those line types will also transition, but they kind of follow the same path where, you know, there's kind of a hierarchy of structure for any sort of formatting. And when you change from template to template, they'll try and follow that kind of hierarchy structure. So you have your scene, you have action, then you have character and dialogue and so forth. It'll follow that same into when you transition templates. So you've got your line types here. You've got a great variety of them. You can change line types through the line type menu. You can also use the keyboard shortcut. So if I hit Command, I'm on a Mac. If you hit Control on your PC, you'll see the shortcut numbers that correlate with each of those. They're just in the order there that they are. So you can use those keyboard shortcuts to quickly change scenes or change line types, I apologize, as often as you need to. You can also change line types through the Format line type menu here and choose a bunch of different line types. If I change this particular, I don't want the title page. I want that to go away. If I change the particular, the template of this particular document, let's change it to book is going to be very different, but I'm just going to change it to book because it's book line types are very different from the screenplay line types. Well, it's not happy. My computer is taking off like a jet engine.
It is important to know too, just for our writers who might have experienced exactly what Hannah's experiencing, which this definitely will happen. If you have a lot of different projects open at the same time in the editor, having multiple of those tabs, it definitely can slow down the app because it's sort of trying to load the full infinite history of all of those different projects. So if this happens,
I had a very long project open in another tab, and I don't think that was helping. Also, if you're live streaming at the same time, it can cause issues.
That too.
Okay, so this book template transition is not going to be one-to-one, but you can see here, this book template has very different line types that are specific for the book template. So you're going to find those in whatever particular template you're working in. Let's say if I change this one to be let's do graphic novel, just for funsies.
You may see too, whenever you make a template change to a project, I don't know if this is the case for us here right now, but you may have to refresh the page for those new changes to fully apply, or specifically because graphic novel is a way different kind of template than screenplay. The app was going into the ether to figure out what to do with the script.
Yeah, it's trying to read what line types you have and fit them into their appropriate comparison line types in the templates. So I'm choosing some weird things to move from and then to, but tons of different templates here, different line types with each of those templates. Let's jump back to, I'm just gonna make a blank new project. Start with a clean slate. I think I've got cache that's bogging me down. I've made a lot of changes to these documents. A refresh every now and then helps. That's what it was. I had a lot of cache just hanging out, interfering with my ability to do something. Changing templates, like Spencer said, it's really good to, oh, the lights are timing out. I'm still here, I promise.
This has happened every time to us, where the room that Hannah's in our office, the lights time out at a very specific time, which is good because it's doing its job, but it's not so good for us who are now here.
Yep. Welcome to our comedy show. There is some automatic formatting that happens when you start writing. And I'm just going to work in the screenplay one. Specifically, if I type INT, oh, I think I did I? What did I do?
The first line type that appears is a scene line. So if she was in an act, yes.
I was in a, thank you, because I switched templates. That's my fault. Change the template. There we go. Okay. If I say INT, not IKT, INT, it's going to suggest, it's going to interpret what it thinks that I need. If I put an E first, it's going to assume that I mean exterior. And so I can hit enter and it'll fill that for me. If you don't like those suggestions, if you hover over this, you'll see that it says you can shift click to remove. You'll need to remove each of these suggestions, but you can remove those if you don't like the suggestions. So INT, hey, it recognized I'm alive. And then dash, and then I say house. Oh, I don't need a dash before house. Silly me. Spencer's the real screenwriter here. I'm a stage play person, so. And then it will suggest times of day, and you can choose one of those there, or you can choose another one. You can also cancel those out if you do not need them. So those suggestions are really nice. Let's say house day. If I hit enter from a scene line, it assumes that I intend to type action, because that is the general pattern of crafting material in a screenplay. So then I can type an action line. And then if I hit enter, it goes to an action line, because you might have multiple lines of action. But if I hit tab, it automatically jumps over to a character line. And it capitalizes that for me, which is just glorious. I hit enter, it'll be a dialogue line. If I hit tab, it's a parenthetical. If I hit tab again, it's another character line. Whatever I need, or I can use the keyboard shortcuts, so forth and so on. But it tries to, not tries, it does, it interprets where you're probably going to head with a screenplay, so that there's less clicks for you, less things for you to have to do to pull you away from actually putting text onto the page. That's the goal, to get you writing. Type. Then of course there's these keyboard shortcuts. There are a ton of keyboard shortcuts in WriterDuet, and in our knowledge base there is a KV article for all of the shortcuts, and Spencer will share that with you very soon. It's printable, so if you're like me and you need a reference sheet, you can print it and have it right next to you. Just post it on the wall, have all your WriterDuet keyboard shortcuts. No, just me? Okay.
Yeah, a little bit, but you know, it's still good.
Whatever. Don't knock it till you tried it. Okay. Now we're back at an action line here. Let's say that you want to outline things. Well, there is a line type that is specifically outline. I like to put them just below my scene headings. And so if I hit enter, of course, from a scene heading, it goes to an action line, but I can say Command 0, and it's going to make an outline line for me. And outline lines are like, I'm trying to think of an analogy. They're like Post-it notes. You leave them there for the time being, and then you take them away when you no longer need them. It's just your way to help you stay organized in your story. So outline lines, while they live on the page and you can see them, they don't actually affect the final document. Even if you see them when you export the document, they won't be there unless you specifically say that you want to include outline lines. They're just these like little ghost things hanging out so that you can stay organized with stuff. This is an outline line. And if you want to no longer see them, if you want to take all the Post-it notes away, you can go to options and uncheck this box for show outline. And it'll just hide all of them until you're ready to use them again. Check that again, and then they'll come right back to you. The great thing with outline lines is that you can use them in your cards view. So if I just go to cards, this is cards view in the editor. So a card is a scene. A card is only generated when there is a scene heading for it to identify. So every card that you see here in cards mode will be a scene. And so it'll include that slug line there, and then it'll include whatever content exists in that scene, including outline lines. You can do the same thing and turn off outline mode. Or where was it? Why can't I turn off outline lines? I don't know. I fudged. I don't know what I did. It's Tuesday and it's late for me here in Austin, Texas. My brain is dead. You can do outline mode. I apologize. And it will take all the content away from the card except for just your scene headings and your outline lines. So it's a great way to just kind of see all of that stuff without all the other mumbo jumbo flooding your field of vision.
This is super useful for, sorry to cut you off there. This is super useful as she's going to show you in the cards icon there in the left sidebar. You can see your cards on the left as you're also writing in the script there. So you could have your outline showing there in the cards, just the outline lines, just as she mentioned, by going to options. And then you can just focus on thinking of them as like drafting scenes. So if you want to give yourself just some notes or sticky notes, as Hannah mentioned, to focus on, this is what I want this scene to be about. And then in your editor here, be able to actually write that scene. So you can sort of dilute your scene cards to just be your notes and things you want to help shape your scenes. And then all those scenes being written there in the page editor.
Mm-hmm. But the great thing is that whatever content lives in the cards is identical to the content in the page, and they're linked. So changing something in one place will change the other. So if I want to have next line of dialogue, then if I add it in the card there, it will pop over here to my document view. The other line type that's really useful in the document, I'm going to bring my outline back. There we go, is the note line type. But this is just to think ahead. The note line type is specifically if you just kind of want to leave a note in the document and you want it to be there to see when you're reading through stuff. Same thing with outline lines. It will not export with your document unless you explicitly say that you would like note lines to export with the document. This, however, is not the same thing and is not, in my opinion, as useful as comments. Comments are different than note line types. Note line types, you can't really track them because they are just text on the page. Comments, however, live in the comment bubble here on the left, and they live with the line of text that they apply to. And I can tag people in these comments. You can come back and you can resolve the comment, or you can remove the comment. You can reply to the comment. You can color code the comments, whatever you need. There's a lot of great features here. I know, Spencer, you like to use comments a lot in your writing.
100%. I think even whether you're writing by yourself or with a group of people, comments are super useful to make edits as you're writing. I think sometimes we find ourselves editing while we're writing, and that can get kind of cumbersome. And sometimes you need to just focus on writing. So if you're writing and you remember, oh, I might want to come back and change this later, or have a bit different idea, leaving yourself a comment just to come back to later is super useful. Additionally, if you are working with multiple collaborators on a project, having comments to communicate to each other things you like or do not like, especially if you're writing in real time with each other or not at all. And you just want to, if you're during a writing session, you're reading what another collaborator had written and you want to take a moment just to leave comments for them so that when they jump on, sometimes we have writers in different time zones, and that's super useful for work process and things like that. So for me as a writer, I think comments are my bread and butter when I think about making edits as I'm going along and wanting to not bog down my writing by thinking about my writing all the time, like just focusing on it, not overthinking what I'm trying to work on.
For sure. And the comments widget is a great way to keep track of all of that. Of course, you can see the comment icon. Whenever a comment is left, it turns into the solid outline. You can see it in the margin, but if you just kind of want to see all of the comments at a bird's eye view, you can do that. And then I don't have enough comments here to be able to do it, but clicking a comment will then jump you to its position in the document. And if you, of course, if you hover over it, you can see what line it applies to. So I love the comments widget. I think it's so useful. You can use the extra tools up here to sort the comments and look at only the things that you desire to look at. They're great. They're great. The other thing that lives in this little comment tool here is this revert line history. So if you have a particular line and you change it at some point, that should probably be a comma. You can, even if you don't have a comment on the line, you can click this and you can open the line history and you can see all of the history of that line for the entire time that that line has existed. So some people like to use the line alternates tool that lives under the tools here, which allows you to see different options for lines there in the script. But you can also use the revert line history and just look at what the previous line was, and you can always revert it. So if you go here and you prefer this old one, oh, little light skin, you can click here and say revert line, and it'll jump it back to whatever it was at that particular time. Both great, really, really great tools to use. Any burning questions in the comments here tonight? All right.
Again, also at any time, and we'll talk about this here in a sec, if you do have any questions about things you're working on or you're finding yourself stuck in a moment, you can also email the support team at any time through help@writerduet.com. Hannah and I are part of that support team. We also have some other great folks who are part of that support team. We want to help you write to the best of your ability and get back to writing ASAP. So if you're finding yourself stuck with any of these features or can't find what you're looking for in the knowledge base, definitely feel free to reach out to us.
And there are no stupid questions. Any question is a valid question. Even if it's just like, what's a slug line? It's a valid question. We'll help you out. We got you. Okay, There's some other formatting things that you have on your document that you might need. You might want to set them up at the beginning, or you might want to set them up down the road when, like, before you export or whatever you need. The first being page numbers. You can see that by default, there are no page numbers. Oh, nope, there are page numbers by default. What was I thinking? There are page numbers. Wow. It's a Tuesday, Spencer. My brain. There are page numbers on your documents by default. You can always change that under customize page, and you can check the box for show page numbers or not. If you want to have a page number on the first page, that's entirely your choice. The title page will not have a page number on it. And then, as you can see here, your page, it will start with 1 on the first page of your default document, but you will not see the page number until page 2. If you want to have a custom header, let's say that you want to include, like for a stage play, you want to include act and then scene and then page number, then you can do one of these custom headers here under customize page. And if you hover over this little question mark, or you click it, I'm sorry, then you see all the possible dynamic elements that you can use here. And what that dynamic element means is that it's going to pull the content from the related areas and then fill it with the appropriate number. So let's say, for example, that you want to do scene and then slash page. Since I'm going to do page number here, I actually want to turn off this page numbering. Do PG. I'll do scene. And I want to do a write. And then if I close this, then I can see that custom header there at the top. You'll notice that there's no number next to scene because I don't have scene numbering on yet. In order for it to be able to pull whatever number, you have to have scene numbering enabled. So I'm going to go back to customize page. And I'm going to go under numbering here, line number. Specifically, I want to number scene lines. You could number any line in your script, but for this instance, the most common is scene numbering. And I check the box for number. It applies the standard settings, but you can go in and change these as needed. If you ever have any questions about numbering, you can always reach out to us and look in the knowledge base. So now I have scene numbering on. I need to go back to customize page. Make sure that that has applied. So scene number, there we go. And so now I've got scene 1, page 2, scene 3, page 3. And so that, like I said, the dynamic element is going to autofill whatever that number is for that particular element. So custom headings are really great. You can also do that for footers, whatever you need for your document. If you like to use mores and continues, such as like dialogue that continues onto the next page, you can also find that under the customize page. If you scroll down past numbering, you've got those options down here. And so let's say you have a scene that continues at the top of the page, you might want to use the standard continued, or you might want to say scene continued. You can change the specific text that appears in relation to that action at the top of the page or at the bottom of the page. You can also change how the more and continued displays in the script. You've got some customization there. All of those options, again, are under customize page. All right, we're going to move on to kind of our final segment here, which is saving and exporting. So you've written your script, you've done all of your stuff, you're ready, or maybe you're saving throughout, or you're ready to export. Saving is for backups, right? Is just kind of like your safeguard. You have an extra backup of your work, whatever you need. Export is typically when you're trying to use the document in either another platform, or you're trying to share the document with people outside of other writers in WriterDuet. So to save, you're going to go to File, Save As. This is separate from the standard saving that occurs by default with WriterDuet, which is all of the saving to the cloud. Your work is always saving And I'll show you where you can check that in just a moment. But if you want to save additional backups outside of WriterDuet, you can do so to your device. You can email a copy through this particular window, or you can save to an external cloud drive, such as Dropbox or Google Drive. And you set up the file name, you set up the file format that you want to back up, you set up the particular path that it's going to go to, and you select save. The other option that you have here in this particular window is the autosave after 1 minute of inactivity. And this is if you're like, I just really want to make sure that my work is saving. It makes me feel a little bit better to have something on my device or to have something in my own external cloud drive. And I don't want to have to remember to save. I want it to just save for me. And this one after 1 minute of inactivity is really great because it just generates that save for you and is just constantly going. So you can do that type of save. If you're ever curious if your work is saving, you always can check this save icon here. If there's a green check mark on it, then you're good. Your work is saving, and you can see the time frame, the last time frames that your work has saved. If you ever see a yellow or a red, we would suggest opening an incognito window and logging in to see if you get a green check mark in the incognito. And if your work is completely synced in the incognito window, then you can go back to the regular browser and log out and back in. It's probably a caching issue in that situation. If you open an incognito and you get a green check mark, but the work in incognito does not match what you see in the regular browser, then we would say that you should export what you see in the regular browser and then import it into incognito, just to make sure that your work is synced. And then maybe reach out to us and see if there's another issue that's causing you to not sync. Maybe it's connectivity, maybe it's your internet, you never know. But you're typically going to see this green check mark over here. The other thing that you have is customize backups. And you can set hard drive backup. So anytime that you save or hit Command S, which is the shortcut for save, it's going to save this particular file type to your hard drive, to your device. Or you can do, this is the other type of automatic backups, which is same thing, either Google Drive or Dropbox. You have a little more customization in terms of the time frame that it's going to generate these automatic backups for you. So you've got daily, hourly, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, or 5 minutes. These are the 3 file types that you have. All 3 of these will import well back into WriterDuet. I'd recommend Fountain or FDX as like the best ones, and also that go into other systems well, but it's entirely up to you. It wants me to authenticate. I don't want to authenticate right now. So you would of course have to authenticate either your Dropbox or your Google Drive in order to use those features. Again, that's for backups. If you're looking to export so that you can send things to people, then you can go to File. There's a few different options. You can go to File, Export Document, and select the file type, Export PDF, and then you've got some different exporting options here. Or you can go to Docs Multi-Doc Export. You can also go to the export tool in the toolbar here. I just realized it's already 9 o'clock. Oh my goodness. A lot of different exporting options. If you're ever curious about which exporting option you should be using, you can always reach out to us. Our personal, at least I think our personal preferences for Spencer and I are multi-doc export. But if you're looking to do like specific pages or scenes, then you're going to want to use that file export PDF. Oh, I said I was going to talk about tell a friend about WriterDuet. So you can always do a referral, of course. If you go to your share widget, you'll find this tell a friend about WriterDuet, and you get $10 and they get $10. All you need to do is just copy this link and share it with them. And when they create their account using that link, they get $10, you get $10. And if you're a free user and you're not looking to subscribe right now, that's fine. Those credits will live there and it'll apply to whenever you purchase something. Same thing for your friend who creates an account with us. So they just live there in your account until you're ready to apply them to whatever purchase. All right. Do we have any questions? No?
I do see a question here about omitting scenes from Steven. Steven, if you want to shoot us an email, I think that's not an answer that I have off the top of my head, but I definitely know the person I want to ask that about with exporting an omitted scene. So it is also late for Hannah and I. So if you want to shoot us an email at help@writerduet.com, we can definitely get back to you as soon as possible on that one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Of course, there's a ton of content in the knowledge base. And then we also have our video knowledge base, which is on YouTube. Ton of great, useful videos. One of our previous tips and tricks is there. There's all the other tips and tricks that we have here on Facebook under our live events. So feel free to check those out. Reach out to us at WriterDuet. But yeah, this has been great. All the holiday cheer. Yeah. Thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight for tips and tricks. Spencer, any closing remarks?
We're jazzed you joined us this evening. I know we'll be having more events in the coming year. You can go to our Facebook page to the events section, and whenever we have those new events scheduled, you'll see them up here. Again, this video in particular will still be accessible to you, even though it's live right now. You can go to our WriterDuet Facebook page and go to the live section, and you'll see not only this video from beginning to end, but all of the other tips and tricks we've done before. We've covered a lot, so you're more than welcome to just check out other things that we've talked about, other questions brought up, and we'll also be trying to implement other different ways we can connect with y'all, talk more about how you can make your process in the app better. So feel free to just shoot us a message.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Have a wonderful holiday season and be safe. From WriterDuet. Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Bye, y'all.